This is the Times Television Network, and you're watching ET Now.
Let me first start by introducing myself. I'm Paromita Chatterjee with ET Now, and I'll be the moderator for this session. We have an eminent lineup of panelists. Dr. Varesh Sinha, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Gujarat. Along with him, Mr. Maheshwar Sahu, Principal Secretary, Government of Gujarat. Professor Sudhir K. Jain, Director at IIT Gandhinagar. Mr. Dilip Chenoy, the Managing Director and CEO of the National Skill Development Corporation. Dr. Dinesh Avasthi, Director, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India. Mr. Akhil, the Center Head of NID. And, of course, Mr. Saurabh Bhai Patel, the Honorable Minister of State for Industry. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining us this morning. And let me straight away invite Dr. Varesh Sinha, who's the Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Gujarat, to kick off this session with the welcome address.
At the outset, I welcome you on behalf of Government of Gujarat. You are aware that Gujarat government has launched a skill development mission which undertakes to develop all the skills that are required for the industry under able leadership and chairmanship of Honorable Chief Minister Shri Narendra Modi. I am very grateful to Honorable Minister Shri Saurabh Bhai, who is here, and I once again welcome you all and everyone to this summit. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us this morning. And given the backdrop of the topic at hand, let me bring on board and invite the first speaker for you this morning, Mr. Maheshwar Sahu, who's the Principal Secretary, Government of India. He has worked in various field positions and corporations for over 13 years. He spent more than 5 years in the Government of India. And before taking over his current assignment as Principal Secretary, Government of Gujarat, he worked as the Vice Chairman and Managing Director at GIDC Gandhinagar. Mr. Sahu, may I please invite you?
Thank you, Paromita. What I'd like to take you in the next 10 minutes or so, how is Gujarat trying to take up this challenge of industry responsive manpower in the overall scenario of the industrial development in the state. If you look at what has been the trend in the manufacturing sector, this is from the available statistics of the released by the socio-economic review, that from 2003 to 2008, we have grown from 6.14 lakhs to 7.42 lakhs. And this is the manufacturing sector, which is the hardcore job-creating sector in the entire industry subsector. If you look at what has been the trend in the public-private sector, including the service sector, our employment has grown from 16.31 to 18.39. If you look at the present existing system, we have about ITIs, polytechnics, about 1.97 lakhs. Say about 2 lakhs people, 200,000 people churn out from these ITIs and politics every year. And our statistics tells that in the next 5 years it will be 10 lakhs, about 15% of them, they are employable in the industry. I still remember the Tata Nano project. My dear friend Mr. Puri is here. When they came to the negotiating table, and in 2009, they had put 3 conditions. And 2 conditions obviously were related to something, the fast facilitation process and some of the very meager incentives. And the third most important factor they had put that the government should underwrite the availability of skilled manpower. And I must tell you that the government and the Tata Motors and all of them looked around and found out 1,000 people in the 10-kilometer radius of the Tata Nano site who are employable and who can be trained and who can go to the shop floor. And I must tell you, they trained them for 8 to 10 months depending upon their caliber, and out of them 780 people are on the shop floor today. So that means the industry's requirement, when they see how much priority they give it to this skilled manpower, is very evident. We have a strategy, and this is a 3-pronged strategy. Open up skill development centers for having short-term bridge courses under the PPP mode, strategy 1. And strategies 2, we have some industrial clusters, GIDCs, SEZs, industrial parks. Open up centers there. Strategy number 3, you open up specialized skill development centers, like in apparel, textiles, gems and jewelry, all these sectors. So intermingling these 3 categories, then probably we can try to bridge that gap of provisioning of skilled manpower to the people what the industry needs here. With this initiative, where we are, by this time we have mapped out entire state and where the skill upgradation centers can come. The second category of the estates, GIDC estates where the skill upgradation centers will come. The entire state, it has been mapped, it is about 100. And the SOCs in industrial clusters, it will be around 50. They have been mapped also depending upon the demand of the industry. Then we have a large infrastructure provisioning in the ITIs. And ITIs run traditional courses. We will have skill upgradation centers in the ITIs, and this will be run with the partnership with the industry. Hundreds of such centers have been planned in the entire state. So all together, so these are 300 centers which should be upcoming, and I must say you that till now 50 centers are running now, and the government is committed that by 2012 all these 300 centers should be upcoming. We envisage there will be a growth rate in the industry that out from that will be about 200,000 people per year. Ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the specialized centers, and with this I think this partnership should be a model for others to emulate, and we'll solicit the partnership and the cooperation of the industry and all other players in seeing that this initiative of the government goes into some good record and this become a good model for others to emulate. Thank you very much.
Mr. Sahu, many thanks. Indeed, the roadmap that has been laid out is a heartening one, I'm sure, to all of you listening, especially if you are from industry, in terms of the plans that the government has set afoot, especially the state government, to set up that infrastructure. 300 centers is what the government is aiming for. However, said that, there are still challenges ahead, and this is where I'm going to invite my next speaker on board, and that's Professor Sudhir K. Jain, the director at IIT Gandhinagar. He's here to speak to us about the challenges and the way forward when it comes to skill development for India's competitiveness.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me first share with you the state of affairs. Every now and then you read in newspaper, a building under construction collapses. Most of the time it is a skill issue. Somebody who is not skilled is doing a certain job that he was not supposed to be doing. You call a plumber to your house and you ask him to fix something and you are dissatisfied. Again, the issue is somebody is doing a plumbing, he is not well trained. I think there are a number of cultural issues here and we need to understand that. We have had traditions of caste and family-based skill development. A carpenter's son has traditionally gone for carpentry. A cook's son has become a cook. A mason's son has become a mason. We also are a very implicit society. What it means is that when somebody comes to my house, I can't ask him, prove that you are a good plumber. There is an implicit understanding that he may be a plumber. So how do we move forward? Some of my earlier speakers have talked about training. We need to do a lot of training programs. But then we also need to have something else. We need to have certification. We need to make sure that somebody else is independently certifying that this particular person is a good mason, or he is a good plumber, or he is a good electrician, or he is a good motor mechanic. And we have to create some kind of an enabling environment where those who are certified, those who are bringing higher level of competence are paid higher wages and are in greater demand. I think the state government of Gujarat is doing a great job and they could be showing the way forward for the rest of the country. Thank you very much.
Different banking solutions from HSBC, the world's local bank.
Markets are like music, where each note has a meaning. Find the rhythm of the markets with me, Ashwini Gujral. Bearish or bullish, markets move all the time. Catch the upswings and protect your portfolio during bear markets with expert chart analysis.
Create wealth with India's top technical analysts on your ET Now.
नमस्कार देवी और सज्जनों, नई दिल्ली की इंदिरा गांधी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय हवाई अड्डे में आपका स्वागत है। कृपया अपनी कुर्सी की पेटी बांधे रखें और विमान के पूरी तरह रुक जाने तक अपने स्थान पर बने रहें। अपनी सुरक्षा के लिए अपने मोबाइल फोन्स का प्रयोग न करें। ऊपरी सामान कक्ष को खोलते समय सावधानी बरतें। आशा है आपकी यात्रा सुखद रही। हमारे साथ यात्रा करने के लिए धन्यवाद।
Because we're always in a hurry. Get superfast wireless broadband with Reliance Net Connect. Now upload heavy files, transact, video chat and do more at unbelievable speeds.
One of the key proponents, and indeed he is on the board, the Managing Director and CEO of the National Skill Development Corporation, Mr. Dilip Chenoy. Today he's going to talk about the national policy on skill development, the key aspects, the role of public-private partnership. So let me invite him onto the stage.
Honorable Minister, distinguished dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. How many of you are aware of the National Skills Policy? Just raise your hands. So that's less than 10% of people in the room. So I'll just spend a little more time on the National Skills Policy, and the whole focus is on role of public-private partnership. The skill policy talks about coordination between different ministries, the center, states, public and private providers. What is very interesting, the skill policy has recognized the key role of public and private providers. It is also decided that there will be no discrimination between private or public delivery. The choice, competition and accountability would be there. It is also talking about sharing of infrastructure. You need not always create new infrastructure. You can look at public institutions like high school, the ITIs which we talked about, or other public buildings which could be used after work or after class hours for skill development by the private sector without disturbing the normal working. I think as part of the National Skills Policy, the NSDC was set up to provide link financing to outcomes and focus the funding on candidates. Very interestingly, the skill policy also talks about ratings of public and private institutions in the public domain, and there is a whole kind of system about labor management information systems with the national skill policy. The whole policy focuses on skill training must ensure a job for those who seek it. So one of the important things, and you heard Professor Jain talk about certification, about industry responsive skill development. And what the national skill policy talks about is that there will be sector skills councils set up which would identify the skill development, will do a skill development plan for the sector, will determine the skill competency standards, what you talked about, and also look at participation in affiliation, accreditation, examination, and certification. Let me spend the next 2 minutes on the National Skill Development Corporation. Under the skills policy, there's a Prime Minister's National Skill Council for Development. It has a National Skill Development Coordination Board, which is chaired by the Deputy Chairman of the Planning Commission, has some state governments, the 17 ministries, and NSDC. NSDC, again, is a public-private partnership. It has been seed funded by, by the government for about 1,000 crores, 135 million pounds, and the target is to skill 150 million by 2022. We also create the sector skills councils, and quality assurance information systems, and train the trainer. We fund any organization. We fund up to 75% of the project. It's debt at subsidized rates and moratorium. We also invest in equity. There's limited grant funding only in very select cases. It is an ideal way for the governments to come together and actually look at scaling this up. So what have we done? We funded 10 projects, approved 18 projects. The total investment over 4-year period will be about 400 crores. They will train about 150,000 people in the first year, but over a 10-year